And from our national headquarters of RT America in our nation's capital. Hello again, everybody. I'm Rick Sanchez. So tonight, the president's decision to pull troops from Syria has been overturned. That's right, Mr. Trump, who announced to the entire world 3 weeks ago that U.S. troops in Syria would be coming home quickly, has been reversed by none other than John Bolton, his national security advisor. All right, here's the president declaring victory in Syria and talking about the troops coming home.
We've had a tremendous success in Syria. We're slowly bringing people back and bringing them back. Because of these gains, our service members in Syria can now return home to their families. Some will come here.
Return home to their families. Well, the plan is now apparently history, voided by a member of the president's cabinet, and made worse by the fact that Mr. Bolton made his announcement while overseas. In fact, according to Politico, John Bolton, who was in Israel, made the announcement to appease Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu because Netanyahu needed assurances that the United States will continue to press their arch enemy, Iran. Mr. Bolton seems to be saying that he will allow Mr. Trump's pullout to occur, but only if a series of preconditions are met, which have to do with the Turks and the Kurds. So what are the big questions tonight? They're twofold, really. Think about this. Why should the United States of America and its citizens allow their president's military decision to be publicly overturned by a cabinet member and the Prime Minister of Israel? And who is this cabinet member? This is RT America, where we ask questions like these that won't be asked anywhere else because we're unafraid. And we do believe it is time to do real news again. So let's begin with the question, right? Who is John Bolton, right? The first thing that we should understand about Bolton is that he believes the United States should not be constricted by international law, by treaties, or the political commitments of previous administrations. He has argued for attacking North Korea. He has called for the bombing of Iran. He argues the United States should not pay heed to the United Nations or other international efforts, that we should act alone whenever possible. You know, the big word you hear in news all the time, because they think it's fancy and they sound smart when they say that, unilaterally. Over a 30-year career in which he has served 3 Republican presidents, Mr. Bolton has largely disdained diplomacy in favor of military solutions. But if a man or a woman is to be judged by results, as most business professionals and athletes believe that they should be, then there's one action by which John Bolton should be judged. This is what should serve as his metric, right? Americans of all political stripes, of all demographics, now agree that the invasion of Iraq has turned out to be an unmitigated disaster. I mean, folks, this is one of the worst military decisions in our history, one that we are still paying for today and will probably continue to do so for decades from now. Mr. Bolton was 100% on board with the invasion of Iraq. He said Iraqis would welcome American troops. He said the United States military role would be over quickly. He said Iraqis would immediately improve and they would exercise their new freedoms. He said Iraq would be established as a new Middle East democracy. And he was wrong, 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 and wrong. Which leads a lot of people to ask this question. Why is he the United States National Security Advisor? It's as if he were a football coach who proposed preparations for a game, a game plan. And then he sold it as a sure thing. Folks, we can't lose. We're going to be guaranteed victory with this plan I got. And then his team gets beat 100-0. And not only is he still coaching, but he gets promoted. Think about that. Medea Benjamin is a co-founder of Code Pink and the author of Kingdom of the Unjust, Behind the U.S.-Saudi Connection. Boy, are you the perfect person to talk to about this. I know you're probably as frustrated as the rest of us. Let's begin with just the protocols here. We got a guy who is a cabinet member essentially telling a president of the United States, I know you made a decision to bring the troops home, but I, Mr. Cabinet Member, am deciding that we're not going to let them come home. We're changing the policy, Mr. President. And I talked to this guy in Israel named Benjamin Netanyahu, and he and I have decided not to go with your order. What? Is this a Fellini movie that we're looking at here? What's going on?
Maybe the president's so preoccupied now with the shutdown of the government that he hasn't even realized what John Bolton went ahead and did. I mean, this is something that Trump has been saying for a long time. You know, the press in the U.S. has acted like this came out of the blue. All of a sudden, he had a phone call with Erdogan in Turkey, and he said, okay, troops are coming home. No, he has talked about this all along. In fact, he said he wanted to bring them home, but the generals kept telling him, no, no, you can't. And the Republicans kept saying, oh, no, no, you can't. And let's face it, there are a lot of Democrats who are saying, no, no, you can't. They're part of the war machine. But then he decided, okay, you know what? I can. I'm going to do it. And he announced it. And then they piled on. They piled on from the liberals to the conservatives to the neoconservatives to the neoliberals. And they all said, no, no, the sky is falling. And then Bolton was like the icing on the cake. He basically said, all right, I'm going to take all this criticism and I'm going to go to our good friend Bibi Netanyahu and we're going to put Trump straight.
Yeah, set him straight, put him in his place, make the decision for him, or whatever nomenclature that we want to use. But you know what's really weird about this? We're now, just now, we are getting reports as we go on the air that the United States is now considering not only not bringing the troops home, but sending more troops. Apparently under the explanation that by sending more troops now, we can get the troops home sooner. If that doesn't sound Nixon-esque, I don't know what does.
Well, we have so much crap there. I mean, we've just thrown in all the equipment, the machinery, all the military hardware that we could in there, and now they have to probably blow it up because that stuff is hard to get back. But it's kind of interesting that of the 2,000 people they have there, which are including a lot of special commando people, they can't blow the stuff up. They got to send in more people. And then they say, well, you can't leave in a small amount of troops because then they'll be vulnerable. Well, you know what? They are military. And so they want to send in more to pull them out safely. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
But it sounds exactly like what Mr. Nixon and Mr. Johnson, LBJ, said. For those of us old enough to remember, these were flat out lies. We're not going into Laos. We're not going into Cambodia. The troops we're sending in now are only because we want to get the rest of them out sooner. Those all turned out to be lies. It smells like a lie to me.
Well, when you say that we have to be there because we want to make sure that not only is ISIS totally defeated, but it can't reconstitute itself, which means you better be there forever because it could someday reconstitute itself. So I just wish that more people in the United States, from the general public to people in Congress, would come out and say, actually, the president was right on this one. We should get those troops out of Syria.
Maybe the president should stand up today and say, I was right, and no, you can't overrule me. We'll wait and see what happens. Medea Benjamin, thank you so much. Great guest. Wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Former naval intelligence officer and attorney John Jordan. You heard my comparison. I said it's like a football coach who loses 100-0 and then he gets promoted. How's this guy working in our government with this big-time job, given his track record?
Well, I'd like to expand on some of the points you were making. He's a New York lawyer, is what he is. He's an academic. He couldn't even be confirmed to the post of ambassador of the United Nations. He was just a recess appointment. I'm not sure what qualifies this guy. He's kind of an in and out of government service, bureaucrat, academic guy, but he's very good at impressing the right people. I've spent time with him. I found him an overdose of underwhelm. Perhaps most offensively to me, who speaks several languages and have worn my country's uniform, he has done neither. He is he's a master of the DC cocktail circuit and Fox News. And that's his only real qualification.
And one hell of a mustache.
He's got quite a caterpillar.
John Jordan, thank you, sir. We certainly appreciate your time as usual. You're a wonderful guest. All right, I am...
Thanks for having me, Rick.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.